Cut content. That content that was supposed to be in the game but was Control X'd out of existence. Today we're going to start going over all the cut content of Call of Duty, and without further ado, let's not waste any more time and let's just get right into it.
Hell, we can't sit here like this! We gotta move! We gotta move, Lieutenant! Let's go, man!
Cut content. Okay, so we're starting here with Call of Duty 2. Why? Because there is nothing I could find on the internet about any cut content from COD 1. So here we go. COD 2 has a lot of cut missions, including Gully Assault, Car Chase, Rail Depot, Decoy, Rain Villers, Burnville, SS_Dusty, SS_Pod Test, Tunisia, Ambush, Drew, Camp, Harbor, Rain Bocage, Tarawa, Playbook_Proto, Green Beach, Red Beach 1, and Medic Driver. COD 2's campaign also has several cut characters, including Gerwix, Private McAllister, Sergeant Nixon, and VS Zubov. The FG-42, Panzerfaust, and PTRS-41 all have HUD icons in the game's code, with the FG-42 and Panzerfaust having textures as well. And although there are no HUD icons or textures, the Molotov cocktails are mentioned several times in unused audio files. COD 2 has several multiplayer maps cut from the game, those being Carrefour, D-Haven, Desert Bunker, Fire Station, Minsk, River Crossing, Sandpit, Solange, Trainwreck, and Train Yard. There is one cut game mode being Squad Warfare, which would have focused on large-scale combat similar to Battlefield, and one cut vehicle being the Panther tank.
50,000 people used to live here. Now
cut content. Okay, so we are actually moving on to COD 4 since, again, I could not find anything about COD 3 cut content on the internet because apparently it just doesn't exist. But moving on to COD 4's campaign cut content, we have two cut characters being Michael Carver and Sergeant Newcastle. Michael Carver would have been the main protagonist you play as during the Marine missions, and Sergeant Newcastle would have appeared in the mission FNG. However, the FNG mission itself is technically cut content since it was shortened, excluding grenade training and an obstacle course. COD 4 also has a lot of cut missions cut from its campaign, those being Art Gallery, Chechnya Escape, Cobra Pilot, Descent, Designated Marksman, Designated Training, Helicopter Ride, Immediate Action, Parabolic, Pursuit, Rivertown, School, Sea Knight Assault, Sea Knight Defend, Strike, That's No Sandstorm, Training, Wet Work, and Zipline. There is a cutscene that goes unused of a dog killing your Marine character, implying that dogs would have been a present enemy during the Marine side of the campaign. There are two cut vehicles that were intended to be drivable, those being the AH-1 Cobra, which you would have probably piloted during the Cobra Pilot mission, and the M2A2 Bradley tank. There are several cut weapons, those being the AG-36, AT-4, AW-50, Bison, 5.7, FAMAS, Galil, HK-79, M72 Law, MAC-10, MAC-11, MG42, and Uzi. The reflex sight and holographic sight were both cut from multiplayer and were exclusive to campaign. There are two pieces of equipment that were scrapped in the campaign, those being the camera, which would have appeared in the level Descent, and the parabolic microphone, which would have appeared in the level Parabolic. There are a lot of cut multiplayer maps from COD 4, those being Argonne, Canal, Cell Block, Dusk, Facility, Favela, Forest, Hill, Invasion, Mansion, Palace, Rooftops, and Suburbs. There was also planned to be night versions of the maps Ambush, District, Overgrown, and Strike. There are three cut game modes from COD 4, those being Tag, where if you were it, you would gain points over time, Acquisition, where you would score points by holding onto a flag and then capture the flag. There are two cut perks from the game, those being AT4 ×2, which would have acted the same as RPG ×2, just with the AT4, and Expose Enemy, which doesn't have any actual information about it. From the perk icon being a pair of binoculars, you probably can assume that maybe this would have allowed you to zoom in farther, maybe even pull out binoculars and mark marked enemies, but there is no information, so it is all up to speculation. And finally, there is one cut kill streak, being the AC-130. Cut content.
Nice!
Now, obviously, during the World at War campaign, you play as both the Americans and the Soviets, but there was a third part of the campaign that was completely scrapped, that being the British side of the campaign, which would have taken place in Holland and the Rhineland. There are 9 missions cut from World at War's campaign, 6 of those being part of the British campaign that we obviously just talked about, and 3 of those being part of the Soviet and Americans, being Fly, Prologue, and Training. There are 3 cut enemy types from World at War's campaign, being the Volkssturm, the Luftwaffe, and apologies if I completely screw this up, the Fallschirmjäger, which would have appeared in the Holland missions during the British campaign. There are several vehicles cut from the game as well, those being the Crusader, Default Vehicle, Goliath, M4 Sherman, M8 Greyhound, Nashorn, SDKFZ-222, Panther, Type 1 Hokai, Type 97, and the Wasp. There are 5 weapons cut from World at War, being the Bren, Katana, Lee Enfield, PPS-43, and the Sten. There are 2 cut attachments, being the Compensator and Select Fire. World at War has 7 cut multiplayer maps, being Atoll, Beachhead, Carrier, Cavern, Docks, Subway, and Wetlands. There is 1 cut game mode known as Tank War, which would have been Team Deathmatch, but with tanks. There are 3 cut perks, being PMD6 ×2, a tier 1 perk that would have given the player 6 PMD6 landmines, Magic Wrench, which would have most likely repaired vehicles, most likely in Tank War, and Commanding Squad Leader, which allowed the player to give orders to their squad. Each faction would have had a 4th kill streak that you can earn in multiplayer. For the Americans, it would have been the B-17 Flying Fortress, for the Germans, the Carpet Bomber, for the Japanese, the Kamikaze, and for the Red Army, the Katyusha rocket launcher. There are unused multiplayer rank icons carried over from COD 4, which aren't that interesting, but one that I did find interesting is this Treyarch icon, which most likely would have been granted to people who worked at Treyarch. Finally, moving on to some zombies cut content, we have several maps that did not make the cut for World at War, those being Coast, which was reworked into Call of the Dead, Farm, Macon, Paris, which was then reworked into Moon, and Theater, which was then reworked into Kino der Toten. We have 2 different zombie enemy types that were cut, those being the Crawler Zombie, which was planned for the Theater map, which was then reworked into the Nova 6 Crawlers for Kino, and the Engineer Zombie, which would have appeared in the Coast map, which was then reworked into George Romero. There are some pretty interesting cut game mechanics from World at War Zombies, those being a payload game mode where you would have had to escort a payload while defending it against the undead, crawler rounds, which would have most likely replaced the dog rounds on Kino, and there is a script relating to zombifying the player, which means that there could have been an intended feature where you could have joined the zombies after you died, or maybe it was a game mode similar to Turned, and when turned into a zombie, you would have gained a 30% increase to your movement speed, all zombies would have ignored you, and you would have been given the Brains melee weapon. There are 5 cut traps from World at War Zombies, being the Auto Turret, Barrel, Battery, Chopper, and Guillotine. There is 1 cut perk, being Ammo-matic, where when purchased, you would have been granted a max ammo. And finally, on the map Shinonuma, the perks would have had a different look, matching the swampy aesthetic of Shinonuma, with them having vines and being worn down, as well as there being cut voice lines from each character, reacting to the fact that the perks are changing in every different location.
Oh, now that's freaking fair, ain't it?
It will become the machine it is supposed to become.
What's it going to be this time?
I wonder which one it will be this time.
Cut content. Modern Warfare 2 has 4 cut campaign missions, those being Tulsa, Downtown LA, International Space Station, which was then substituted for Second Sun, and Roadkill. There is a cut part of the mission Contingency where you were actually able to join up with Captain Price inside of the submarine. Modern Warfare 2's cut weapons include the AK-74U, L85, G3, and Remington 870 MCS. There were also 4 attachments that were cut from the game, being the extended mags for the Model 1887, the heartbeat sensor for the Spaz 12, and the foregrip and red dot sight for the Winchester 1200. Cut maps from this game include Vertigo, Oil Rig, Gulag, Riverwalk, Verdict, Fuel, Skid Row Raid, White House, Trailer, Arcadia, Plaza, Uprise, Substation, Crib Basement, and Mall. There are several game modes cut from Modern Warfare 2, those being Die Hard, where every player was given Final Stand, Arms Race, which there are only sound files that remain that I could not find, VIP, where a player is selected at random to be protected by their teammates, DEFCON, where the DEFCON would count down from 5 to 1, and each time there was a new DEFCON, the game would change. Arena, which is technically an early version of Gunfight, which is a team deathmatch where everybody has one life and a flag spawns in the middle that must be captured. Global Thermonuclear War, where teams take turns arming and defusing a nuke. And One Flag Capture the Flag, where one team must capture the flag and the other team must defend it. There are a lot of cut perks in this game. I will just name them off and then just give the description. Black Box, a longer kill streak duration, Siege, a mobile but greater accuracy, Amplify, hear enemy footsteps louder, Free Runner, mantle obstacles faster, Dive, jump to dodge bullets, Spy Game, no name above the player or red crosshair when targeted, Burst Fire, weapons fire 3-round bursts, Improved Iron Lungs, even longer breath when holding steady, Fiend Death, the player can fake a death, Offhand, use equipment in Final Stand, Saboteur, complete objectives quicker, Explosive Bullets, bullets explode on impact, Free Fall, no fall damage, Thermal Vision, enemies appear white hot, Steel Nerves, improved marksmanship, Rear View, minimap is replaced with Rear View, Challenger, extra experience points but easy death, EMP grenades ×3, increased capacity for EMP grenades, Primary Stand, weapons of choice in Final Stand, Flash grenades ×3, increased capacity for flash grenades, C4 death, pulls out a C4 before death, and Shell Shock, riot shields appear on player's back. The cut kill streaks for Modern Warfare 2 include Tank, Predator Airdrop, Super Airstrike, Auto Grenade Launcher, Helicopter Black Box, Little Bird, Shotgun, Advanced UAV, Helicopter MK19, Airstrike, and Thumper. There is leftover string that references you being able to pick up the tactical nuke from a care package. There is also cut music that would have played when you called in the tactical nuke, which is just the music that plays when you kill General Shepard in the campaign. There is also a cut feature in Modern Warfare 2 where you were able to create your own game modes and save them. This feature would of course be introduced later in Black Ops 2. And finally, there are 2 cut Spec Ops missions that were meant to appear in Modern Warfare 2, that being SO_Gillies, which would have been like all gillied up, and CO_hunted, where you were to run away from a helicopter chasing you and reach the exfil as fast as possible.